because there we are. So welcome to Sue, what's the recording. And if you can all just come down to a comfortable seat. And let's sort this out a minute. Yeah, so comfortable seated position. And I hope you've got a block handy. We'll need a block at some point this morning. So either a block or a book. You don't need it for long, but it's just handy. So our practice today, our theme today, is all about prana. So when we talk about prana, oh, I've lost the page now. There it is. When we talk about prana, quite often people think of it as breathing, because there is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, which is pranayama, which is prana, obviously, that people refer to that as the breath, prana, and then yama as pranayama as the movement. But prana is so much more. And I put a little quote up in my weekly email to you all, and it says, a few minutes of breathing and some yoga can energize the mind and the body and uplift the spirit. So you think, oh, this is great, isn't it? Just some breathing and some yoga. And that quote came from an Indian guru. His name is Sri Ravi Shankar, and he's actually quite famous because he worked with another yogi called Maharishi Mahesh. I'm just reading it here. And it turns out he was the founder of transcendental meditation. So yeah, we learned about transcendental meditation in the 70s, didn't we? When
the Beatles.
Big thing with the Beatles, yeah. Just meditating by sitting quietly and doing a mantra silently in your mind. That's what it's all about, just repeating that in your mind. Well, so that's where he came from. But our theme of prana. So if we just think about what prana is, so prana is your life force. And in a lot of the ancient texts, when they talk about prana, you think that you're bringing energy into your body, but that's not right. Energy, it's here. Prana is in your body. It's been here from the point of conception, and it remains until we die. So all we're doing in our yoga practice, I say all, but it's a big thing, we're shifting the prana around our body, and we're making our body move more freely by freeing all the blockages so that the prana gets into every nook and cranny. We want it to flow freely. And just one last quote, and then we're going to get on with it. There's another ancient text called the Hatha Yoga Pradipika that we study on our courses. And there's a very famous verse in here. This Hatha Yoga Pradipika was written, they say, in 1350, so it's very old. It says, when the breath moves, the mind moves. When the breath is still, the mind is still. By thus controlling the breath, the yogi attains steadiness. So that's our aim today, to breathe and get some prana moving in the body. So from your seated position, I'm just going to mute everybody. From your seated position, just sit, close your eyes, find that comfortable seat. And we're going to start with a little breathing practice called resonance breathing, which is a fancy name for something that we've done before. It's from my book called One Simple Thing by Eddie Stern. I know you've come across him before, Jill. So resonance breathing, so we're just going to sit here and settle. So have your eyes closed and just place your hands on your belly. Just enough so that you can notice as you breathe all the way down to your belly, just notice that movement. So we're not forcing anything, we're just taking a nice deep breath in, just starting to settle the body. So that breath in, find that movement all the way down to the belly, which just proves that you're breathing all the way to the bottom of your lungs. And then as you breathe out, you feel the belly just sinking back. And make sure you're sitting up straight and tall. So with resonance breathing, it says here in my book that it's a reset button for our nervous system. And that adults normally breathe at a rate of about 15 to 18 breaths per minute. And if we can breathe at that rate, that makes sure that we get an adequate supply of oxygen to meet the body's energetic needs. And sometimes anxiety and stress can lead us to have an elevated rate of respiration. And when we do that, the breath speeds up, but there's no demand for faster breathing, so there's nothing happening really. A signal is sent to the brain rather, that something is not right. And this can lead us into this activation of the fight or flight response. And all sorts of things happen then. You can get elevated blood pressure, you can have inflammation in the body, you can have other imbalances, and that enforces this anxiety cycle. So when we do resonance breathing, we want to consciously slow our breath down to this cycle that brings the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems into some sense of equilibrium. So the rate is usually 5 to 7 breaths per minute. So it's quite easy to get that rate. So as you breathe in, just count on your inhalation, count to 4. And as you exhale, count for 6. So do a few of those, inhaling for 4, exhaling for 6. So if we were to keep that going, we would be breathing at 6 breaths per minute. And it's quite nice to have a slightly extended exhalation. So just a few more, in for 4 and out for 6. So when I read a bit more about this resonance breathing, it says the term resonance refers to when 2 or more things or systems come into harmony with each other. So typically, that harmony would mean that the in-breath and the out-breath would be the same length. But we're extending our exhalation here. So let's try something else. Try breathing in for 6 and breathing out for 6. So if we kept this pattern going, we would have 5 breaths per minute. So we're still within that range that gets us to that sense of equilibrium. But we're keeping the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath the same. And if you find 6 is too long, then you can inhale for 4 and exhale for 4. That gives us 7 breaths per minute. So I just want you to explore and find your own pattern. So does resonance breathing to you mean having the breath the same length in and out? Or does it mean just finding that balance and having a slightly extended exhalation? That's what works for me. The exhalation's always longer. So just a few more breaths here. There isn't any right or wrong with this practice. We're just breathing in a way that is more effective for gas exchange and more effective for reducing the levels of stress in our body. That's why we do this resonance breathing. So after your next exhalation, just let go of any counting, of any control of your breath. Just notice if your body feels calm. Do you feel as though there's some sense of balance there? Reducing stress, reducing anxiety. And more importantly, relaxing our muscles before we come into our practice. So the next time you exhale, just drop your chin to your chest. Blink your eyes open and lift your head. Welcome to class. So we're going to do a little bit of movement, and we're just going to practice and see how we feel this morning, how our twists are in the body, and how far we can get around. Hopefully the chest feels a little bit freer. So take a breath in, float your hands up, and as you breathe out, just taking the right hand behind you and the left hand towards your right knee. So I want you to look over your right shoulder and find that drishti, that point of focus. Just notice where it is in the room. How far can you see over your right shoulder? Can you remember that position? And then breathing in, bring the hands all the way back to center. Breathing out over to the left. So the same thing, look over your left shoulder, find that point of focus. Just notice, where is it? Might not be too far, it's our first movement. So just notice and remember that point. What are you looking at in your room? And then breathing in, bring yourself back to center, release your hands. So let's get some movement into the neck. So take a breath in. And as you breathe out, drop your chin to the chest. And then breathing in, keep the chin close to the chest and sweep it up to the right shoulder. Breathing out back to the center. Breathing in, sweep it up to the left shoulder. So we're working into the neck, we're getting some movement here, breathing out back to the center. We're going to do this 5 times. So try and relax your shoulders down. So sweeping the chin to the right, breathing out as it comes back to the center, breathing in, sweeping it. Is that right? So breathing out to the left, breathing into the center. So up and over to the right, just 5 repetitive movements here. So this is a little bit like somatic yoga. I don't know whether you've come across that, but we do small repetitive movements, and each time the body frees up a little bit more. And you'll notice the impact with other things that we do. So we'll repeat that twist a little later. and hopefully you'll see much further back. So that should be 5. So bring your head back up when you return to the center. Now this time, sitting up straight and tall, imagine there's a straight line from the crown of the head all the way down the spine to your sit bones. Relax your hands on your legs. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, just turn and look over the right shoulder. Breathing in, back to center. Breathing out, turn and look to the left. So the only thing that's happening here is this twist of the neck and all the way down the spine. 5 times we're doing this with our breath. Remember the quote, when the breath is still, the mind is still. So just breathing into the body and just gently making these movements. And it said it leads to a steadiness in the body, that strength in the body. So I think once more over the right and then back to the left, back to center. Okay, so take a breath in, bring your hands up into cactus. So again, this is actually quite a strong move if you try to keep your spine quite straight. So breathing in, breathing out, just rotate to the right. Breathing in back to center, it might not go too far. Breathing out, rotate to the left. So you can feel as you move around, you feel that shoulder blade moving. So try and keep the hands in exactly the same position. The movement is all in the upper chest and keep the shoulders relaxed. Can you keep your tummy muscles engaged as well? That'll help with this twist. 5 twists to the right and the left. One more, I think. Back to center and then release. Have a little shrug with the shoulders, just ease out any tension. And then the last one, take a breath in, keep that upright spine. As you breathe out, float your hands out to the side. So have the palms facing forward, the thumbs are pointing up. So there's some strength here in the hands. So keeping the hands in exactly this position, take a breath in, breathing out, just twist to the right. Breathing in, back to center. Breathing out, twist into the left. Back to center. 5 of these. One more set. It's hard not to bring the hands forward. So we want to keep them back in that straight line. And then return to center, release your hands. So let's give our little twist a try. Remember that drishti point? Remember that point you were looking at on the wall? So take a breath in, float your hands up. As you breathe out, right hand behind you, left hand on your knee, look behind you. Hopefully you're all going to tell me you can see much further. Breathing in, come back to center, reach the hands up. Breathing out, over to the left. Well, I can definitely see further. I hope that's the same for you. Breathing in, come back to center. Breathing out, release. Did it work? Could you see further? I'm getting thumbs up. Brilliant. So that's somatics. It does work, doesn't it? Okay, So let's come to an all fours position. So bring yourself into your all fours. Let's get some movement into the spine. So toes into the mat. Take a breath in. Breathe out round through the spine. Cat pose. Breathing in. Breathing out. Cow pose. So lead with your chin and your chest. Tilt your pelvis. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Cow pose. Doing 5 of these. Breathe in. Breathing out. Cat pose. Breathe in. Breathe out. Cow pose. Breathe in. Breathe out. Cat pose. Breathe in. Breathe out. Cow pose. That fine. Breathe in. I think it's one more. Breathe out. Cat pose. Make this your best one. Really press the hands into the mat. Breathe in. Breathe out. Cow pose. Breathe in. Come back to center to your all fours. And then taking a breath in, bring your right hand and place it behind your right ear. As you breathe in, open up to the ceiling. Breathe out, send the elbow to the other elbow, the opposite arm. Breathe in and open. Breathe out, elbow to elbow. Breathe in, open. Breathe out. Breathe in. So hopefully your upper body is moving a little bit more freely now. We tend to be a bit stuck in this area. So these movements will get some freedom here. Place your hands back down on the mat. So we're getting the freedom so the prana will move. So let's try the other side. So breathe in, left hand up behind the left ear. Opening up to the ceiling. Breathing out as you take the elbow to elbow. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathe in. Breathing out, elbow to elbow. Last time. Breathing in. Breathing out. Well done. Hands to the mat. So find your all fours position. Your knees are under your hips. Make sure you're nicely aligned here so you can't see your feet. And you're going to plant your toes into the mat here. Engage your tummy muscles. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, just lift your knees just an inch or so from the mat. 5 breaths here. Keep the tummy muscles engaged. Keep that strength. Should be feeling that prana, that life force. And then place the knees down, release your feet and sink back into child's pose. Just breathe. Just notice from that small activity there, although strong, you start to fire up the energy in the body, the prana. And then bring yourself back up to all fours. And we're going to sit back on our heels and release the feet in front of us. So come down onto your mat so that we're going to lie back on our back here. So just your position if you've come a bit forward on the mat. So we're just lying on the mat. So just have your hands alongside your body. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, float the right leg up to the ceiling. And then take another breath in. Breathe out, float the left leg. So the soles of the feet are pointing to the ceiling at the moment. So with our breath, we're going to point the toes. We're going to flex the feet. So you're going to point and flex. So if you find that hard with the breath, then just obviously keep breathing to your normal pattern, but keep this movement going, really strong pointing and flexing. You'll feel the stretch all the way through the calves and the shins. It's really good for the ankles, this one. And now we want to bring some energy into it. So speed up, point flex, point flex, point flex, point flex. So you'll only be able to do a few of these before it starts to get quite strong and you're really feeling that energy. Okay, slow it back down and just have the soles of the feet pointing to the ceiling. Just feel that energy, particularly around the ankles. And now float both hands up, point the fingertips to the ceiling. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to flex our hands out. So like when we do that fist and flash with the hands. So fist and flash, send them up. Again, you start off slowly. If it's in line with your breath, then that's fine. Otherwise, just keep breathing and do the movement. We want to get some strong fists and strong flashes with the fingers. And then we're going to speed it up. So fist flash, fist flash, fist flash. Can't say that fast. So really send that energy into your hands. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then stop and hold the hands pointing up to the ceiling, just feeling that energy. And then bend your knees, plant your feet on the floor, allow your hands to just rest down onto the mat. So just stay here for a moment in semi-supine. But just notice how much energy is flowing through the body. Just from that simple movement. Well done. So just hug your knees up to your chest. Take your hands to the backs of your thighs and just start to roll along the mat. Until you bring yourself up to a seated position. So we're back, we're up in Dandasana. Back, we haven't done it yet. So we're in Dandasana, stick pose. So if you've got your block, just have it handy here. And we're going to place it just on our thighs. So the position of it depends on how far forward you can comfortably go. So if it's on its lower setting, then obviously it's just sitting in front of me like this. Or if it's the higher setting, then you're going to tilt it. Well, no, the higher setting is long. The medium setting is like this, just balancing it that way. So we'll see how we do. I'm sure you'll all be able to do it on the lowest setting. So sit up straight and tall. Have your feet really strong. So you're pressing the soles of the feet away from you and your gaze is to your toes. That's your drishti. Engage your tummy muscles, relax the shoulders. So we're going to catch hold of our opposite elbows here. So sitting up straight and tall, just holding the hands out in front of us. Taking a breath in. And as we breathe out, we're going to lean forward and just take the elbows towards this block. So if you want to shift the block a little bit further forward, because we want to keep the length in the spine, and we're just resting the elbows down. So you should just feel quite a strong stretch coming into the thighs and the backs of the legs, and even into the outside of the arms, just by holding this strong position. So it's a little bit different to when we just fold and let our arms go, because then we tend to get into that rounded spine. So we're trying to keep a nice straight spine and just placing the elbows down on the block. So if you feel that you've got more flexibility here, you can take the block away and have the elbows connected again. So our hands around the elbows. Just bring yourself back up. And as you breathe out, finding that straight spine once more, take the elbows down towards the knees. Just gently placing them down. So this is all about keeping that length in the spine and that strength. And by keeping the length, you're freeing the blockages into your back. When we try and jam ourselves into this forward position, this Paschimottanasana, and we round our spine, we start to create blockages around here in the hips, and the energy won't flow the way that we want it to. So keeping the back straight and keeping the hands under control here, hands and arms, frees it up. So I hope you can feel a little difference with that. Breathing in, bring yourself back up. So let's get a little bit more movement into the back. So tuck your legs underneath you. Come down and lie on the mat. Place your hands alongside your chest so the elbows are bent, and just rest the nose down onto the mat. So your legs are together. You're just pressing the toes into the mat. So see if you can relax the shoulders down. So think about the shoulder blades, just sliding them down your back. Engage your tummy muscles. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, press into the hands and lift into low cobra. So squeeze the shoulder blades. Keep your gaze just forward of the mat. Find that lengthening in the front of the chest. Breathe in and rest the nose back on the mat. Breathing out, lifting up, low cobra. So only come as high as is right for you and your lower back. Breathe in, nose to the mat. 5 of these. Breathing out. Press into the mat. Keep the elbows in tight to the body. Breathing in, nose to the mat. That's 3. Breathing out. Breathing in, nose to the mat. Last time. Lifting into Cobra, Bhujangasana. Breathing out, nose to the mat. Well done. So pressing your hands into the mat to bring yourself up into all fours. take your knees wide, toes together, and sink back into Balasana, child's pose, and take your hands alongside the body with the palms facing up. So just rest the forehead down onto the mat. And just notice, where's the prana flowing in the body? Can you feel it around about the mid back? Is it in your lower back? Just breathe in here. And as you rest your forehead down, make sure you're not holding any tension. Just let everything go. And then breathe in it. Bring yourself back up to all fours. So we're going to get some more energy into our hands this time. So from our all fours position, just take your gaze to the mat, spread the fingers wide on the mat. So you really press in the hands into the mat. Your toes are into the mat here, so your feet are strong. Just hold in here for our 5 breaths. Breathe in all the way down to the belly. Just opening through the back body. And then we're going to turn our fingers so that they point back towards our knees. So just take them back as far as is right for you. If it means that the fingers are out to the side, then that's fine. If this is working for you, then fingertips pointing back towards the knees, keeping a nice strong and straight spine, tummy muscles are engaged, and we're holding for our 5 breaths. And if you want to add a little bit more to this, as you breathe out, you can gently send your hips back towards your heels to add into that strength and add into the stretch into the wrists and the hands. And remember to breathe. And then bring yourself back into that upright position if you've sat back a little bit, and slowly turn your hands back so that the fingers are pointing forward. So resist the temptation to do anything with your hands now. Just sit back onto your heels and just bring the hands and let them hover over the thighs. Don't touch the thighs, just let them hover. Just notice if you can feel any heat in the hands. And then bring them as if you were going to bring the palms together. So towards the heart center. And again, notice. Excuse me, it might detect some heat or some energy. And then gently bring them together. Notice that heat and energy now in the hands. That's your prana. So come back to all fours. We haven't done a down dog yet after all those down dogs we did last week. So here we go. So hands to the mat, all fours. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, lift your knees and your hips, come to downward facing dog. Have a little walk through the feet. Just breathe in, excuse me, nice and deeply. Doing our 5 breaths here. As you're walking, encouraging the heels to come down to the mat. And allow your lower ribs to come towards the tops of your thighs. Dropping your head through your arms. And then let the heels rest towards the mat. Just find that down dog. And then we're going to bring ourselves down to the mat. So take a breath in. And as you breathe out, shift forward into plank. So you might need to just move your feet back a little bit. So find that nice strong plank, engage the tummy muscles. So keeping the back long and straight, keeping that prana flowing. So don't sink down with your hips. This is not a good plank. This is a good strong plank, opening through the shoulders. Taking a breath here. As you breathe out, we're going to chaturanga down to the mat. So there's the easiest option is to take your knees to the mat, cross your feet at the ankles, lowering the elbows and sliding through. And then we're going to come to up dog. So if it's up dog that you're doing, toes into the mat, lifting the hips away, finding that opening through the front body. So again, don't sink down through the hips. Or if you want to come to cobra, just come down into that low cobra. So taking a breath here. As you breathe out, toes into the mat, lifting back into downward facing dog. So those three moves together, we call them doing a vinyasa. Breathing in, walk your feet all the way back to your hands. Come to Uttanasana. Forward fold. Take a few breaths here. On your next inhalation, hands to your shins, half forward fold. Nice straight spine, sending the crown of the head out in front of you. Breathing in, breathing out, hands back to the mat, Uttanasana, forward fold. Breathing in very slowly, bring yourself up, stacking the vertebrae in your spine, one on top of the other. Find that nice Tadasana, standing up straight and tall. So we're going to do a little balance here. So standing up straight and tall, I can't see my head. Taking a breath in, take the weight into your left foot and just slowly bend your right knee and lift the right knee up. So you can place your hands just below the knee, just standing up straight and tall here. That can help you to find the balance, engage the tummy muscles and find your drishti. And then we're going to see if we can do some movement in this balance. So I'm going to turn to the side to show you this. So we're standing straight and tall. We're going to look at our drishti. And then we're very slowly going to send this knee back behind us as we lean forward. So you've got an option here. Your hands can just stay down or you can reach them forward. Think about all that energy shooting out your fingertips and your toes. And then you're going to slowly bring yourself back up and hug that knee once more. So let's see if we can do that with some control. So standing straight and tall. Take a breath, and then as you breathe out, slowly reaching the hands forward. Send that prana shooting out with your fingertips and your toes. And bring yourself back up. Oh, it's a wobbly one. Well done. Just see if we can do one more on the right hand side. Find your drishti and breathe. So don't rush into it. You do it slowly and mindfully with the breath. You can do this. Well done. And then release back. Oh, well done. There's some good balances going on there. Come back to Tadasana. So let's stand here for a moment. We're not going to rush into the balance on the other side. Stand up straight and tall. Just let your hands hang alongside the body. Breathe. Calm the body. So when we said at the beginning, if you breathe much faster and there's no cause for it, then that's when you can trigger the fight or flight. But when we've done something like we just did, we almost went into a little bit of fight or flight, and our breath does speed up and the body goes into a little bit of a panic. So it's quite good to just stand here and breathe and let it settle, let it know everything is okay. And then when we're back in that state of balance, we can breathe the weight into our right foot and then lift our left knee, just holding the knee behind the leg just below the knee. And once you've found your balance and your drishti, slowly send that knee back, reach the hands forward, shoot the prana out with the fingers and the toes, and slowly bring yourself back up. So all with control. We're going to do 3 of these. Releasing into that balance and that shooting the prana. Bringing yourself back up. And noticing how it feels on one side compared to the other. One side might be much more balanced. Or maybe very wobbly. So once you've done your 3, come back to Tadasana. Letting everything settle once more. So I'm guessing you're feeling the prana in the body now. Feels quite energized. So take your feet quite wide. We're going to sink down into our malasana. So stand up straight and tall. Relax the shoulders. Breathing in, hands to the heart center. And as you breathe out, send the knees out and sink into your deep squat. Or we like to call it Netflix asana, because this is how we watch the telly, isn't it? Not sitting on the settee. So coming into your deep squat, have a little wiggle here. Nice to move around. And if you bring your outer upper arms to the inside of the knees, that helps to find a little bit of strength and stability here. So you're pressing the arms into the knees and you're pressing the knees back into the arms. You feel quite strong and secure. So your next challenge is to very gently and elegantly place yourself down on the mat. Well done. That was good. Okay, so allow yourself to come down to semi-supine. Have the hands alongside the body, palms facing down. The feet are hip distance apart. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, just gently start to send the knees away, lifting the spine up into bridge. Don't come up as high as you can for the first time. Just placing the spine back down on the mat. Breathing in. Breathing out. Send those knees away. Maybe you'll come up just a little bit higher. And then breathing in, lay it back down. Last time, breathing out. Send the knees away. Maybe you can come up a little bit higher this time. We're just going to hold in this bridge pose for a few breaths. If your block is handy, you can take it and place it so on the medium height and place it underneath the sacrum, if that feels good for you. So you've got a supported bridge. Just have a few breaths here. Otherwise, just stay in your bridge pose. Your choice. Quite nice to try this with several blocks and stack them and then just lay over the blocks. It's a lovely stretch of the hip flexors. Take a deep breath in and lower yourself down to the mat. And then hug your knees up and over your chest. Have a little roll side to side. Back and forth, just easing out the spine. And then send your legs out along the mat. Take the hands out in a T shape, palms facing down. Taking a breath in, bend the right knee and plant the foot on the mat, just on the inside of the left leg. Breathing in. As you breathe out, allow the right knee to drop towards the left. So your right foot can just hook behind the left knee. So we're trying to keep our shoulders in contact with the mat here. And if your neck feels good, you can gaze to your right hand. Just getting a nice twist to finish off. Just take a few breaths. And then breathing your head back to center, your knee back to center, and slide it away. We're in a T shape on the mat. Breathing in, bend the left knee, plant the foot on the mat. Breathing out, taking the left knee over to the right, using the left foot to just hook behind the leg. So just supporting the weight of that leg. And your gaze is to your left hand. You say your gaze to your left hand, but I think most of us close our eyes anyway when we're in this position. Just turn your head in that direction. Just feels good to have your eyes closed, doesn't it? And then slowly, as you breathe in, bring your head back to center, your leg, your knee back to center, and slide the left leg away, back into that T shape. So we've got a couple of minutes, we'll just have Shavasana. So if you want to grab your layers or anything you need, it's just gone 1/2 past. So as long as everyone's happy, we'll just do a couple of minutes of relaxation. And lying on the mat, find your Shavasana. Your feet slightly wider than hip distance apart. Let your toes drop out to the side. Have your hands alongside your body in a gentle V with the palms facing up. And just take yourself back to the beginning of the class with our resonance breathing. Using that breath to calm the body, finding some sense of equilibrium. So breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Can you remember which pattern suited you? 4 in and 4 out. Maybe 6 in and 6 out. Or maybe you want to extend the exhalation. In for 4 and out for 6. So you find what pattern is right for you. And with each exhalation, let go of any tension in the body. Releasing from the forehead, the face, the neck and the shoulders, the arms all the way down to the hands and the fingers. Use that exhalation to release all the tension anywhere where you're holding on. Releasing the whole of the back body down into the mat. Back of the head all the way to the sacrum. Releasing your pelvis. Backs of the legs. The fronts of the legs. The knees. The lower legs. The feet and the toes. Breathe it out, feeling the whole body is relaxed. Just allow yourself this minute of silence. Bringing some awareness back to your body now. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rotating your wrists and your ankles. And on your next inhalation, floating the hands up and overhead and do a full body stretch. Point from your fingertips to your toes. And as you breathe out, just allow the arms to rest on the floor behind you. And breathing in, bend your knees, plant your feet on the floor. Breathing out, rolling onto your right hand side. Just hug your knees up a little closer to your chest. Give yourself a touch. And then when you're ready, bringing yourself back up to a seated position. Everybody okay? Lots of prana flying around those bodies. So sitting up straight and tall, we finish with our 3 breaths. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out. Hands to the heart center. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Sorry I